Is it still worth buying a bike with Shimano Ultegra Di2 in 2021? How does it compare to SRAM Force eTap AXS? What's it like to live with? And how much does it cost to buy a bike with a group set? Well, let's dive in. It's been a few years now since Shimano's second generation Ultegra Di2 group set launched, and in that time it's become really popular. Now in this video we'll talk about why it's so popular, how it compares to mechanical group sets, how it compares to SRAM's Force eTap AXS group set, and what it's like to live with, and how much it costs to buy a bike with a group set on. It's worth remembering that when Di2 launched some 10 years ago, there were many skeptics, people saying it would never catch on, it wasn't needed, either in the pro peloton or in the consumer market. Well, they were wrong, weren't they? And it's easy to see why Ultegra Di2 has become so popular. It's just really simple to use. Shifting couldn't be easier. Press a button and go. It's reliable, doesn't need any adjustment. The front mech also trims as well. Failures are rare. You can also customize how the gears work as well, but you need the Bluetooth dongle to do that. So a really reliable, rock solid group set. It's available with rim brakes or disc brakes, and the hydraulic disc brake setup we have here offers exceptional performance, really solid, reliable braking. The pads last for blimmin' ages as well. So it is a no-nonsense workhorse group set that, while a big premium over mechanical, does offer really good performance. But are electronic group sets actually any better than mechanical? Well, when it comes to sheer performance, not really. If you're doing a sportive or a road race, a mechanical group set won't actually hold you back compared to electronics. But what it comes down to is the user experience. And many people simply like the experience of pressing a button over pushing a lever on a mechanical group set. And gear cables, well, they're so old-fashioned, aren't they? They've been used for the last 100 years or so, and compared to them, an electronic group set with wires is so modern, it's so cutting edge. Electronic group sets are a lot more expensive than their mechanical counterparts though, and one question I get asked a lot is whether it's worth paying the premium for an electronic equipped bike over a mechanical version. And well, the answer to that really is it depends. It depends how much you want electronics over mechanical. As I said earlier, when it comes to sheer performance, there's not really much in it. It's all down to that user experience you want, and if you want the latest cutting edge technology, which an electronic group set is. If you're watching this video, it's most likely you're buying a bike with a group set on rather than buying a group set on its own. If you are buying a group set on its own, by a sheer fact it's been out for a couple of years now, there are some quite hefty discounts if you shop around. But if you're looking at a bike and wondering how much you have to spend to get Ultegra Di2, then one of the cheapest bikes I found was a Canyon Ultimate with rim brakes costing £3,300. The same bike with disc brakes goes up to £3,800. So £3,500 to £4,000 seems to be about the entry level for Ultegra Di2 on a nice carbon frame. There might be other examples. If there are, let me know down below. Taking this Scott Addict RC15 as an example, which I just happen to have on test, which is why I'm doing this video, this bike here costs £5,500. This bike with the mechanical group set, but admittedly alloy rather than carbon wheels, costs £3,700, so not quite a like-for-like comparison. A better comparison is that giant TCR Advanced Pro disc I had on review last year. There's a clear £1,000 difference between the Ultegra mechanical and Ultegra Di2, all other things being the same. And that gives an idea of the difference you can expect to pay for electronics over mechanical. So whether it's a price worth paying is, well, I can't really answer that question for you. It's down to your personal preference, whether you really want electronics and whether you think it's worth paying extra for. So now is a good time to bring the big rival to Ultegra Di2 if you're in the market for the most affordable electronic group set you can currently buy. That being SRAM Force eTap AXS, which launched about 2 years ago. That, if we start at a price, on a Canyon Ultimate will set you back £3,900. So more or less in the same ballpark of price. Now, like Ultegra Di2, SRAM Force is the company's second tier group set, inherits all the same technology as a red flagship group set, which means a full wireless shifting setup, hydraulic disc brakes, batteries you can easily remove from the front and rear mech, and a clear benefit over Shimano's internal battery for easier charging. It's a 12-speed setup, of course, using smaller chain rings and a 10-tooth sprocket on their own XDR driver hub on the rear wheel. You also get really good app customization, so you can sync up the Groupset with the app and customize how the Groupset works, which you can do with Shimano, but it's a little bit more complex. You need a Bluetooth dongle and other accessories, but doing it the SRAM way is much easier. So you can customize how the Groupset works, and also update the firmware, see how many times you shifted during a ride, and some other neat features. And they're rolling out more functionality to the app all the time. So when it comes to price, as I mentioned already, there's not much in it really. A complete bike is a little more pricey with SRAM Force eTap AXS, but close enough that you can consider both. If you're buying a Groupset on its own, then Force eTap does have a small premium over Ultegra Di2 and isn't discounted quite as aggressively as Ultegra Di2. And on the scales, there's a bit more weight in SRAM Force eTap AXS, although only a few hundred grams. And by the time you build the bike up, you probably won't even notice that weight difference unless you're a weight weenie. So between SRAM Force eTap AXS and Shimano Ultegra Di2, which is better and what are the pros and cons? Well, there's a lot of similarity. They're both electronic. SRAM wins by being wireless, which means it's much easier to build in the first place. Although if you're buying a bike, that's a moot point. And once you've built a bike, because you never replace the wires or the hydraulic hoses, it's a one-time benefit. Although there are no wires on the frame, it looks very clean, very modern as well. And if that appeals to you, if you're a tech-obsessed gadget lover, then you'll like the wireless benefits of SRAM Force eTap AXS. The batteries you can remove from SRAM Force are a clear benefit if you keep your bike in a garage or shed where there's no electricity, because the battery for Di2 is inside the seat post and the charge port on this bike is in the handlebar. So a win to SRAM Force there. When it comes to ergonomics, there's a clear difference, but they're both good in their different ways. The hood shape on Ultegra Di2 is tiny, really compact, and I do prefer that to the quite chunky hoods on SRAM Force. I like the shifter layout of SRAM Force. You have left and right to go up and down and both together to change the front mech, which is very intuitive and works very well. But some people prefer the two paddle system on the Ultegra Di2, and really it comes down to personal preference. Neither one is better, they're just different, and you might prefer one over the other. Another clear area of separation is the gearing choices, with Ultegra Di2 having a much more conventional setup. So it's 11 speed, the smallest sprocket is 11 tooth, got all the usual chainset options, so compact, semi-compact, standard, 1125 up to 1130 or bigger cassettes, so everything you know and are probably used to. Compared to that, SRAM is a 12-speed setup using a 10-tooth sprocket and smaller chain ring, so smaller chain set, and the idea is to put more emphasis on spending more time in the big ring. And the cassettes, the way they've designed the sprockets, gives more range than a Shimano equivalent. So for low gears and high gears on the same cassette, SRAM does win the ratio battle. But some people aren't on board with the idea of 10-tooth sprocket or smaller chain sets from a visual point of view. So if you want more conventional gearing, Shimano probably wins that battle. But if you like the idea of SRAM's more modern take on gearing, then that might be the one for you. To answer my opening question then, should you buy Ultegra Di2 in 2021? Well, yes, totally. It's an excellent performance Groupset, proven reliability, lots of gearing options. There's nothing to fault on it really. But are you better off with SRAM Force eTap AXS? Well, that depends really. It's a more modern Groupset, wireless, got app integration, got quite a neat 12-speed drivetrain setup. It looks modern, it works really well. Which you choose really comes down to personal preference. There's swings and roundabouts, pros and cons to each, and I can't stand here and say you should buy one over the other, because ultimately they're both really good Groupsets, they both work really well, and whichever you choose, you won't be disappointed with at all. So if you are buying a bike and you have the budget for an electronic Groupset, and you look at Shimano because you know and like Shimano, then you still safely buy a bike with Ultegra Di2 and you'll be very happy indeed. So hopefully this video has answered some questions you might have had, and if I didn't, then do feel free to put them in the comment section down below and I'll do my best to answer them. But that's all for now though. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, etc. And I'll see you all again next time. Thank you so much for watching.